Yeah. Okay, so now, without further ado,
Hey.
Jeremy, thank you for being on the show.
I'd love to be here.
You might recognize him. We had him out when we did the acro yoga, this new, I guess my new hobby or fun thing I do. Anyway, so I found out he did nutrition and personal trainer. I was like, man, that would be a great topic. Austin is a very fit city, but, there's still some people that need some work, myself included. So we're going to have him out, and we're talking about this. So I met you on acro yoga, and that before we get into the nutrition and everything, how important is it for an activity, even if it's something walking, like acro yoga, just anything, how important is that to your health?
Well, that's kind of a broad question.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and get started with that. All right. So I always think of 4 different kind of categories of the health.
Yeah.
Okay, of human beings. We have different profiles that we try to fit, and those profiles, if we're really solid with our numbers, statistics, everything comes together, our profile looks great, right?
Yeah.
We have a great hormonal profile, we have a great genetic profile, we have a great nutritional profile, and we have a great movement profile. And so if you fulfill each of those profiles, then you're really going to be able to have what I consider like that optimal human, right? And so the acro yoga, the walking, those things fulfill that movement profile.
Yeah.
And without it, you really have a huge miss.
Yeah.
Everything else really isn't anchored down.
Right. It's not 100%.
You're missing just a,
You have a few cylinders working, but not,
You're running, it's not a 4-cylinder anymore. It's 3. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's the weight of the importance of it.
Yeah.
You can't run without it.
And I think a lot of us do that. It's like, I got to get in the jogging. I got to, do something to be a little bit more firm and tone. And I was just doing that, and I wasn't, eating right. I mean, I eat pretty healthy. I fix a lot of my food, but I do eat fast food more than I care to. But, and I wasn't seeing results. It's because you can't just do one, basically. From talking to you, I'm learning that. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're learning.
Yes. Yes. So what are some of the common mistakes that people, speaking of exercising and dieting, most diets fail. And I'm guessing it's because, like myself, someone says, I'm going to do X, Y, Z for 6 months, and then that's it. And then they go back to their thing, and, it's not going to work.
Yeah, when you use diet in the term of, I'm going to do this diet, it tends to be something that's not really sustainable.
Right.
It is going to be good because you want to have certain goals. You would actually diet for those goals.
Yeah.
And then you really have to have a base model of a lifestyle that is that's life.
Right.
That lifestyle for life.
Right.
Long term.
Yeah.
Right. And so I personally grab hold of a lifestyle of low glycemic eating. I mean, there's that model is what works for me. Some people choose a vegan lifestyle, right, or a vegetarian, or a pescatarian, or these different ideologies of how you should eat your food, whether it's cultural or anything else that you just believe in, no animal products, or for me, I just believe that it's hard for me to get a lot of vegetables in unless I am pulling more toward a vegan lifestyle. So for that, it helps me eat more vegetables.
Yeah.
And so I feel better, I feel lighter, my brain is more clear, I'm faster, my handstands hit better whenever I don't eat animal products.
Yeah. And isn't it, and this is what's cool about you being a personal trainer is, and from talking to you, everybody's different. You can't say, everybody needs to do X, Y, and Z because, it might not be their metabolism. It might, I've even heard there's ways to eat for your blood type. Certain people blood type, they need cheese, and some people it's bad for them or whatever, meats.
So, yeah, I actually don't do the blood type dieting as much anymore. I always found it to be 50-50, and the programs that I run are running much higher percentages of results. And so that's a whole different topic on its own and go on for hours. But when it comes back to like the individualized aspect of it, it does come down to like what you're used to eating, where you've come from, what you like. But that's why I like the low glycemic idea of it, because even if you're vegan or vegetarian, you can still eat too much bread. And if you're eating too much bread, you're not eating low glycemic. And so at that aspect, you're spiking your blood sugar levels. You're not taking care of your body the way that is conducive to holding a lower body weight.
Right.
And so also, that type of lifestyle is a grain-based lifestyle. I don't choose a grain-based lifestyle. I
Yeah.
choose a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. And that lifestyle, again, I don't say diet. I've actually kind of
Right.
almost pulled it out of my own vocabulary.
Yeah.
And I'm just now noticing it as we're talking right
Right.
now. It's actually flowing like
Yeah.
that. It's taken many years. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time, but only recently in the last decade have I really been like, change your
Right.
vocabulary.
Yeah.
And it's taken that long to really undo what my lovely parents, they're wonderful, but at the same time, when I was a kid, we ate hot dogs and macaroni
Yeah.
many times, spaghetti.
Good old nitrates.
Yeah, tons of everything
Yeah.
that if I kept eating that
Yeah.
lifestyle, which I guess I would call it a
Yeah.
Western or American lifestyle, that's where that comes in.
Yeah.
American lifestyle is not a low glycemic, whole food plant-based
Yeah.
diet.
And from the short amount of time that I've known you over the past few weeks and month, I realized that when I came to you, it's like, look, I want to do this. It's not something that you just do for a while. Like you got to commit. This is how you're going to live your life. You're going to incorporate these foods in your thing. You're going to incorporate these kind of exercises and do this, and then you'll never have to diet. You just eat the right foods, and naturally your body does the rest. So for those of us, and myself included, I'm just now learning about this stuff. But let's talk about some of the things without getting too complicated. Just some of the 5 things that people should stop eating, regardless of that are so bad for us that we probably eat all the time.
So before
And I know that's real broad.
Yeah, let's start with a little bit about why you would want to not eat those things,
Yeah.
right? If you don't have a movement profile, and you don't have any basis of like where your hormone profile is, or you've never done any blood work and you don't care about that
Yeah.
stuff, then when you change the nutritional profile, you really don't know why you're changing why are you excluding things? Because you don't feel a whole lot different when you don't have any movement in your life. You're not eating for any goals.
Yeah.
And so if you want to really exclude things that are going to help promote movement and health and longevity, things
Right.
that you actually, those are goals
Right.
to live a long time. That's
a good one.
That's actually, it's a great
It's a
goal.
very good one.
And so in that essence, you're going to start changing your lifestyle. Obviously, we're going to exclude Cokes, Diet Cokes.
So does people.
Okay. Even we'll exclude artificial sweeteners. I do use stevia in the raw. Not Trivia. Trivia is not stevia. So it's made by, I think, Pepsi or something like that. I believe so. And so it's just another product.
Yeah.
And stevia in the raw is pretty good. And then the sucralose, try to cut that out too. Those artificial sweeteners. Essentially, we're just going to go through a whole list of processed foods
Yeah.
here. So, 5 processed foods to not eat.
Yeah.
Okay, we just name 5 main ones here. Sucralose takes out like 50% of the biome in the gut, so you lose a lot of absorption of the foods. So that's in its essence. Don't lose that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So also sucralose has been found to link to, I think, leukemia also.
Cancer, yeah.
So these things are in protein bars. These are in just any kind of foods you're getting
Yeah.
that we have no sugar. Well, you got something else.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, you might not see corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup,
Yeah.
but they hide it in other,
Well, the corn syrup can be palm kernel oil, all kinds of different things, but it's just not there. The sugars, because it's actually in an artificial sweetener.
Gotcha.
And those things are having their own impact.
Right.
I would stop eating artificial colors, red 40.
Dyes.
Okay? Yeah, the dyes. And these things aren't really that difficult to get away from.
Yeah.
Although they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? The lifestyle that you choose
Yeah.
negates that. It just nullifies it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Right.
So, because.
And once you get on that pattern,
Mm-hmm.
you start to recognize what foods are bad, what are good, what you need to stay clear of, and what you need to eat more of.
Yeah.
And you'll feel and see the results.
Yeah, you just kind of hone in on it.
Yeah.
I guess some of the things that would be excluded, there's on week 2 of my program where you start eating protein again. there's a list of 6 or 7 different things of proteins that that you are allowed to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, and on that list, I always tell my clients, like, look, these things are allowed as proteins,
Yeah.
but the best results, okay, because these are building guidelines instead of finite. Don't do this, do that, because then
Yeah.
people like fight it.
Right.
Okay, but red meats,
Yeah.
just cut them out. Okay,
God, that's so tough for people.
and no dairy. Yeah. Those 2 things cut out with the rest of the low glycemic starches that you're adding back in, lentils and taro root and all the vegetables,
Yeah.
then you're going to get the best results from my program, which if you look at on Yelp or Google, you just see
Yeah.
just results
Yeah.
of people 18, 20, 25. Oh, it's 2 years later, still doing great.
Right.
Cool. That's because that lifestyle that you chose to lose
Yeah,
that,
committed.
it actually, you maintain a lower weight whenever you eat better.
Yeah.
So, or you eat a lifestyle
Right.
that promotes a lower weight. You're not
Right.
eating as many grains. We'll just keep returning to that over
Yeah.
and over again. And then, so another thing that I would cut out is that dairy, red meat,
Okay.
and that dairy.
And dairy, I personally, for a long time, have been drinking almond milk.
Mm-hmm.
Same, I mean, that's probably safe. It's not dairy, obviously.
So when we start looking at milk alternatives,
Mm-hmm.
milk alternatives themselves, there's like 4 almonds in your almond milk, like you're drinking in
Mm-hmm.
your carton.
Yeah,
It's 4.
yeah,
So you had 4 almonds.
okay.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Like you didn't really, you're not getting you're not getting a lot of nutrition out of it.
Yeah.
You're not getting protein out of it.
But I mean, if
You're
I
not
want
getting-
cereal, I don't want to just eat a handful of.
it's
you know.
better than, yeah. So
So I'm saying I don't want milk, cow milk,
yeah.
with steroids and God knows what's in
Absolutely. So yeah, getting away from the dairy right now. You know, there are I found some like good dairy. Like
Yeah.
they treat their cows very well.
Oh.
They don't milk them when they're under a lot of stress. There's
it.
not a
Okay.
lot of
So you're saying the typical dairy that is mass produced, that stuff has all the bad.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, it's very hard to find those things. So just getting rid of it kind of
Right.
across the board.
Safe. It's safe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bought some.
Unless you're, on a Mennonite farm and you know where it's coming from, and Milford is the cow, and
Right. Yeah. You know his name. So I guess a little bit about my lifestyle.
yeah, and we
So-
kind of jumped out. I want you
We're
to
gonna keep-
say all your
we're
stuff.
Gonna, we're going to keep going with that.
Yeah.
Just real quick, the dairy.
Yeah.
I've had dairy. I've had some gorgonzola and some cauliflower soup that I made the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only dairy I've bought all year.
Wow.
So and it's not even a thought.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Right.
Like it's not even a thing anymore.
Right.
So
you just get so used to it.
yeah, you're used to it, and that's something that once you over time
You lose the craving.
it's just not even there.
Yeah.
Just don't even know.
That's
So-
awesome. We kind of glossed over. I kind of started bombarding you with questions. I want people to know your background, where you come from, why I'm even talking to you,
Mm-hmm.
and your authority that you have.
So for about 16 years, I've been personal training, and I have been teaching nutrition for, I guess, heavily for about 8 years. And precision nutrition is the certification that I went through. I was a teacher for 3 years. I taught nutrition.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was anatomy physiology teacher, kinesiology, physics, exercise psychology, exercise physiology.
A few
A
things.
few things.
Yeah.
And so with my programs, I taught a lot of corrective exercise and a lot of personal training. And I would say the last 5 years have been the biggest change where I don't even run the programs together. We don't even talk about nutrition with our fitness anymore. So we're not working out and talking about, so what'd you have for lunch today, Jerry? You know? I know your name's Jake, but
Yeah.
I have another client named Jerry. But
Yeah.
and because we're trying to learn the movements. The movements are complicated enough.
Enough. Yeah.
And so we sit down every Monday, we go over what their plan is for the week, what they did over the weekend, what successes they
Yeah.
had, and we look at the inflammation that they caused in their body from their foods. Is it the foods that's causing it? And is that causing them to be sleepless, restless at night, not waking up with a
Yeah.
lot of energy, feeling bloated after their foods? All these things create a different profile for their movement, right? So if their nutritional profile, so let's take a look at it. So you can just imagine 4 boxes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so genetic profile, nutrition, hormonal profile, your nutritional profile, and then your movement profile. If your nutritional profile moves up, right? Think about a lifeline connecting all of those things. It starts to tug on your movement profile and pull your hormonal profile, which then begins to slightly tug on that genetic profile, right? So epigenetics, right? You have triggers, things,
Yeah.
and if you look in several different books and everything else, epigenetics can be triggered by nutrition. And one of the ones I like to reference, everyone sees things like, oh, it's not this, it's this,
Right.
it is that. In a National Geographic that I was reading about twins, and they were showing why the twins were different when they lived in different places. And the main thing that said right below it was epigenetics, the nutritional factors and possible environmental factors changed their epigenetics, which caused genetic factors
Right.
to be different.
Right.
And this was the triggers. And so right there, nutritional,
Yeah.
like little tiny words, and there was nothing else about it
Yeah.
in the entire thing.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Which it should have been huge.
you should have been like,
Yeah.
well, the entire thing is
Hello?
about this.
Right, right.
And so it's just little things like that that kind of pop up that just add more, it's nutritional factors that are changing
Right.
that little bit over there. And so increase your nutritional profile, it increases all the other things with it. So
Yeah. One thing, that I've noticed is, and we don't have the graphic up, but basically, when you look at the back, oh, and I was going to bring a food or something, but when you're, which I think is important, when you do this lifestyle, and I don't, and I know you do, and people that, you help, you have to start looking at things. So let's kind of, and I'm talked down, because we're talking about people that don't know this, myself included. Give me the dummy version of what's important to look for. I know we were talking about marketing kind of tricks you. You might see a health bar and you might think, oh, this is healthy. And it's only, 6 calories, but there's 4 servings in this. So it's times 4.
Yep.
Anyway, I don't know. I'll let you kind of explain that. What's something that we can be aware of?
Well, that is the biggest thing, is that I don't eat a lot of processed foods, but
Yeah.
my clients don't eat a lot of processed
Oh,
foods.
so you probably don't even have to look at these
We
much.
don't. So I'm gonna go over 2 things here
Yeah.
to help that I'm gonna kind of give, since whoever's listening to this
Yeah.
right now gets kind of an insight of why my clients hardly even look at these anymore. Although, let's say I will eat a protein bar every now and then. I will turn over the back of it, okay, and look at what's in it. And the biggest thing I look for personally is the servings. Like, oh, there's 175 calories in this bar. Wait a second, there's 2.5 servings. I'm about to eat 400 freaking calories from this bar.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's a little bar. You
yeah,
think this is
it's,
one.
It's
Yeah.
that's a little much for me
Yeah.
to eat. I just want to kind of fulfill myself, like before I go. And man, even if I do a workout, I don't want to eat 400 calories
Yeah.
right before I go work out.
Yeah.
I like to eat on a slightly empty, or work out on a slightly empty stomach. Something I've learned from a few people like Chad Walding, or amazing physical therapist who's a beast in the gym.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't eat 3 or 4 hours before I just don't want to be digesting anything. My body's got plenty of energy, and he's super lean.
Yeah.
And his body is commanding.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of follow that lead, and it's been very, 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 very helpful. Let
Yeah.
your body naturally work that stuff
Right.
out. Unless you're in a realm of bodybuilding, that's a whole different story on
Right.
its own. Food timings is perfect. Everything's perfect.
Oh, formulated. Yeah.
Formulated.
Yeah.
Well, you're looking at processed foods a lot. So a lot of bodybuilders look at their rice cakes, and when you can't see the food cut in front of you, when you can't see it, okay, and you can't really weigh it, right, because you don't know exactly what's in it, then you have to look at the label
charts, yeah.
to know how much protein is in it,
Yeah.
everything else like that.
Yeah.
Which you can do a lot easier when you see a piece of meat in front of you, a sweet potato in front of you, some vegetables in front of you. But essentially, man, it's been a while since we kind of go over this stuff. Now it's here for my clients to look at.
Yeah.
This is part of the packet, which you gravitated to it because it brings up questions.
Yes.
Okay. we can talk about the calories from fat versus the calories and the total fat, and this is all going to be changing, so that way sugars are are bigger, and I believe that's going to be happening pretty soon, where the food labels are actually changed. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Vitamin D will be on here, so you can see the IEUs of the vitamin D, which essentially is kind of ridiculous because everything has such tiny amounts. Okay.
Yeah.
Except for swordfish, but
Yeah.
and so I actually just follow a different formula, and I'll make it nice and big so people can see it. But we follow a formula of just a pie chart right here, and it looks like V2. And if my clients are listening, they'll just be chiming along with
I know
me.
what that is.
Yeah, V2 plus B plus S. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have V2 plus P plus S. I don't know if you can focus in on that or not. But
Let's maybe on someone come out here on camera 3, and
There you go.
you can pull that up in a minute. We'll get someone.
yeah, V2 plus P plus S. So you're eating, 8 to 12 ounces of your vegetables. You're eating 6 to 8 ounces of your protein, and then 2 to 4 ounces of your low glycemic starch, which is
Starch.
your S.
Okay.
Okay. And the S can also be a sugar, a fruit, a starch, or even a grain. But you see how it limits that.
Mm-hmm. So that's like the formula. I think we got
Yeah.
someone over here. Let's
Yeah.
just so people can get a visual of what you said. Hold
Go
that
for it.
still. Go ahead and zoom in on that, Burton.
I'm sure he can do that.
Camera 1.
Boom. There you go. Yep. V2 plus P plus S. Okay. If your plate looks like this, that's awesome.
Oh, and that's the portions
And there
of
it
it.
is. It's all right there in front of you. Okay. And you can
And V2 is
vegetables.
okay.
Yep. So if you have one.
Pea protein and
Yep.
then the starch. Okay.
Yep. That's it. That's
I can remember that.
That's very easy to remember. And if your food plate looks like that, okay, then
Yeah.
that's awesome. If it doesn't look like that, you attempt to make it look like that. If you have a salad, right, and you stack it, right, it should still look like the same thing. V plus P plus S, and then some dressing on top.
Yeah.
It's just stacked it. So it's a
Nice.
stack method.
Nice.
If you put it into a smoothie, right, you have a bunch of stuff. You have spinach, vegetable, some bell peppers, vegetable, and then your protein, some like hemp protein or some rice
nuts.
protein or nuts.
Peanut
Yeah.
butter, yeah.
And so you've got that, and then you've got your starch. You can throw some oatmeal in there.
Gotcha.
Okay. And now you've got exactly the same formula,
Yeah.
and you're always eating enough fiber
Yeah.
and enough phytonutrients and enough good hydrating foods that you're going to be able to really take care of your gut, take care of your body, and get a lot of the nutrients you need for anti-inflammatory
Yeah.
control, and be able to heal from workouts a lot more appropriately, like people want to, instead of just being swollen all the time. They
Right.
actually have gains. Okay, and that's the difference between feeling swollen all the time in the
Right.
gym and actually having gains from
Right.
the gym,
Right.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
They're healing enough, and that's it, man. That's our new food label. That's
Yeah.
what we do.
Nice. And for those of you that, this is kind of new, which it is a little bit for me, how important is it when people are shopping for this stuff? I kind of feel like the range-free chickens and the, this, whatever, I think it's a marketing gimmick. Is it? I mean, is the chicken that's processed, by HEB versus some special whatever, is there a difference? Or strawberries that are on this farm versus that farm?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. I
And
mean,
the price, because I just think it's like a marketing price thing.
it's not.
Okay.
I mean, it's like buying a higher end supplement versus a cheap supplement. Okay. I mean, there really is a difference. It is a product.
Yeah.
So the more you pay for that product, it tends to actually come from a better place. Okay. It's being looked at, scrutinized. People are asking questions, things like that. Whenever they're in those health food markets,
Okay.
there's more people asking questions about that food.
Yeah.
When it's going like Tyson chicken into a market where it's different income, lower income, and people just don't care.
Yeah.
Not trying
They
to
can
draw
drop the
not
standard.
drawing a comparison
Yeah,
between those two
yeah.
things. It's just kind of correlation there,
Yeah.
but whatever. And so that's what happens is they don't care. But
Yeah.
again, under the watchful eyes of people that are paying more, it tends to come from a better place. Yes, one farm that's organic versus one farm that's not organic, you can actually see that they treat their foods and
Yeah.
their products better.
Yeah,
than the products that are mass produced
with
with all
pesticides or GMOs.
the organic ones may still have some, okay, but it's still a lot less.
Yeah.
And that's what
So and it won't mess up your GI, your stomach, and
I mean, not as much.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of controversy. There's a lot of information.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you have to try to process, and then as soon as you learn that one thing, it's debunked or it's a lie.
Right.
And you just believe that it was
Right.
like
gospel, and now it's
yeah, it happens all the time, unfortunately.
yeah.
But there is a study that went on with this family overseas, Swedish, I believe, and this family did a blood test on the kids, and they're full of pesticides,
Yeah.
full of them. And they changed their kids to, which is very important. They're very high absorption.
Right.
Their bodies are
Yeah.
growing, so
Yeah.
everything is being absorbed.
Yeah.
Their gut digestion is excellent
Yeah.
at the moment. Ours are a little slower, so almost thankfully we don't get as much toxins in a way.
Ah.
That does not really go too
Yeah.
deep in that thought, but it's a good theory.
Right.
Okay. And so they got the kids off of the non-organic stuff, and the kids' blood work came back, and they had almost no pesticides.
Wow.
So physical changes. Were those chemicals that were in the kids fully affecting them at the moment? Not necessarily. They looked like the kids.
Yeah.
They acted like kids.
Yeah.
But they were full of pesticides.
Yeah.
Wasn't enough.
Over time, it would be
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and a lot of these food chemicals and food products are not tested together.
Right.
We don't know exactly
How they interact.
how they interact with each other when they're inside the
Right.
body. And so, I mean, hell's breaking loose, but we just blame it on something else.
Right. Right.
Oh, you got bad genetics.
Right.
No, you just.
Yeah.
And we're on live TV. I don't mind saying this. That I found over, and I've been doing this for almost coming up on 2 decades, and
Yeah.
3.5 years.
Yeah.
90% of people are not broken. Like 10% of people are actually broken,
Yeah.
where they're born. They have
Meaning
to-
there's nothing they can do.
yeah,
The
exactly.
other 90% we can change it.
And I
yeah.
say broken in a way like there's something broken, like their pancreas just
Right.
isn't
Yeah.
right. They were
And they will
born-
never be healthy.
They were born with that finger.
Right.
I mean, healthy is kind of like
Relative.
This is relative there. Yeah. There's plenty of people that have no problems and they're
Yeah.
super unhealthy. Yeah. And so, it's most people when they come to me, or even the doctors I work with, as soon as you change to nutrition, you stop changing the triggers. You start changing a lot of those problems that were, this is forever. Your psoriasis is forever.
Right.
And it just starts to go away.
Right. Yeah, I love the saying, "Let thy food be thy medicine," because we're such a highly medicated. Oh, your stomach hurts? Do this. No, how about you change your diet? Or,
Yeah.
Your back hurts? How about exercise instead of taking a pain medicine to mask it? I don't want to mask it. I want to fix it. I don't want that pain to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. The other thing I was realizing is
Don't
that we're so used to the marketing of all the bad things, medication, the food, all the you hardly ever see any health food commercials. It's all processed fast food.
This is
bad.
This is a really good topic. I was just watching Hulu a couple of days ago, and I watched 4 or 5 episodes of this show, and it was the same Vyvanse commercial every
Yes.
every 14 minutes.
Yes.
It was just it was again
Yeah.
and again, and it was maybe it was a 30-second spot each time, and maybe 7 seconds of it was actually the actual medication, and the rest of
Side
it
effects.
was the side effects.
And they sound worse than the damn.
And they're,
Yeah.
but the thing is that they are literally right there.
Yeah.
You're going to bleed from the face.
Yeah. I
But
know.
you know what? You're a little bit more active in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it blows me away.
so that's actually where the 10% comes in. There are many people that actually do need that stuff,
Yeah.
and they rock and roll with it.
Right.
That was the ones that actually go to the doctor and are
Right.
like, I got some things going on.
Yeah.
But instead, The other 90% that could be fixing their energy problems and their focus problems by getting off sugars and processed foods and eating a normal lifestyle, not a healthy lifestyle. Eating vegetables, eating this vegetables, this is normal.
Yeah.
This isn't health.
Right.
This is not beyond anyone's
That should be the
limits.
baseline.
This is just normal.
Yeah.
Normal eating.
Yeah.
And normal eating, it tends to lead to fixing that for many of those people.
And most people don't normally eat that because society has
I
changed.
have literally, I'm not even kidding you, seen someone take a Vyvanse, take down some coffee.
Now, what's Vyvanse? I mean, I know it's a drug, but what does it do?
It's for ADHD, I believe.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. And so if you can't, it helps you focus.
Focus, yeah.
Yeah. Or ADD, I'm sorry, attention deficit disorder. And eat some donuts, drink some coffee, take their Vyvanse, and then not eat anything for like 10 hours.
Cannot be healthy.
They're feeling fine. They're on top of
Yeah.
the world. They're mentally
Yeah.
just rocking and rolling. But that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So the non-sustainability of it's not the Vyvanse that's the problem.
Yeah.
Just like how coffee isn't the problem for most people. It's the habits that surround those things. So as you wake up in the morning and you have your cup of coffee and then you decide not to eat anything because you're like ready to rock and roll until lunch. And then you have a grain-based lunch, a big sandwich, and then you have a snack, and then you have a couple of bites of some chocolate that were on the secretary's counter on the way out. And then you go home and then you eat,
Big fat meal.
whatever you eat.
Yeah.
But usually people tend to eat healthier when they head home. So that's actually a good thing about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I don't want to knock anyone going home from work because they tend to
Right.
actually go home and
Cook.
get some
Yeah.
food. But then end up eating real late, and then they skip that meal the next day, or it's just this cycle
Yeah.
and then I didn't say anything about water, did I?
Yeah.
They'll go the entire day without having any water.
Yeah, I see people at work just drinking sodas all day.
At least there's, I mean, I've seen people not drink any liquids
Yeah, that cannot be good.
all day long. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's super hard on the body because
Yeah.
the foods that they're eating for that lunch are not greatly hydrated.
Right.
They're very processed grains, and a lot of those carbohydrates are actually drawing more water out of them.
Right.
That's-
Well, I do drink a lot of water. That's for the drinking water part is never going to be my problem.
Excellent.
I have no problem with that.
that's a good thing, man. I'd
Yeah.
like to hear that.
But we were talking about the pesticides and stuff with the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
I have also seen a documentary where it's even in our clothing with our detergents absorbing into our body. You sweat and it absorbs these toxins on our body. We wash our dishes, our hands are soaked in chemicals. So even if we cut out the eating chemicals, we're getting it in our dishwashing soap, in our clothing, soaking into us. So like I was saying, it's really got to be a lifestyle. You got to really change that
So
stuff.
the body, it's called body burden. And it's said, I've been saying it for a very long time, and it's really kind of hit the internet, I guess, 8 or 9 years ago. And body burden is the burden you put on the body,
Yeah.
right? So detoxing got really hit hard a few years ago, the word detox. And everyone just blasted it out of the water. Well, your body naturally detoxes. You don't need to be taking these products. It's a big old scam.
Yeah.
Everything else around it. Well, there's foods that actually help your body promote the detox that your body's already doing. Also, if you take down the body burden, the amount of burden your body has to work with, your liver can only handle so much. So where's it all to go?
Yeah.
It flows around
Yeah.
until it can come back and get taken care of again. So you lessen the body burden, you're going to have a better chance for your body to do what it naturally does, which is detox,
Yeah.
okay? And everyone's liver is different. Everyone's liver is at a different strength. If you drink a whole lot of alcohol for many years, you're
Yeah.
going to decrease your liver's ability to detox. So you can't draw a comparison to everybody's
Right.
detox,
Right.
everybody's body detoxes,
Right.
because not everyone's
not the
actually
same,
is the
yeah.
same. So you see how
Right.
it's been so generalized and it's put into a box.
Right.
You have to almost reframe it
Right.
and put it in a different mindset.
Which is why it's important to have a trainer or a personal, a nutritional coach, someone that actually can tell what someone's optimal stuff is.
We can watch where your body's at, and with a good movement profile, you can see logistically, like if you're eating these things better, your movement profile becomes better. Lifting weights, you can track it. You can look at heart rate variability. You can look at many other things along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot. We can go.
Yeah.
We can just keep going.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, so the body burden.
Yes.
One of the things with the clothes and
Yeah.
how you take care of your body at the house is, most people have like 60 chemicals in their house, and that many chemicals that you have is those things get into your body.
Yes.
It is a thing. It exists. Look around you.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yep.
Okay, and so. People always say, well, what can I do without it? Well, I mean, there are alternatives. Are the alternatives take a little more elbow grease?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
Stop being lazy. Use
Yeah.
your elbow grease.
Yeah.
So,
Which is good for you too, because you're moving.
exactly. You move a little more. Yeah, yeah. Just using white vinegar to clean your stoves and things like that. It takes a little more
Right.
to get it clean, but you really kind of cut down on such a high amount of chemicals that are residues that are
Right.
there.
And tonight I'm going to go home and I'm going to look underneath my sink, and I'm going to be like, damn, I'm going to see all kinds of
Yeah, and
chemicals.
and many of them are just insanely toxic.
Yeah.
I mean, Raid. I mean,
Bug sprays are
goodness,
bad.
that's some toxic stuff.
Mm.
And you just got to sit underneath your sink where you cook.
Exactly.
And
Wash your clean dishes. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just everything's underneath right there.
Yeah.
Now, is that stuff coming up and like getting out? I mean,
Yeah.
not necessarily. It's contained, but yeah, it's got residues that just
Yeah.
hang out everywhere.
Yeah. And speaking of other bad things that we put in our body, I know, like the Monsters and Red Bulls and any energy drinks, they're super, super popular. And the other day when I went to see him at his office, I was like, well, and I was drinking water, but I was like, I can't go over there with a soda. I'm going to give me something healthy. And I got a Gatorade. And then he just like, no,
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just ripped like, nope. I was like, wait, this is better than soda. Well, no.
Yeah.
And we looked at the thing, and
I just asked you if you just done like maybe a triathlon,
Yeah.
like maybe a 10-mile run.
see,
or,
and that's good to hear, because most people
What
think,
did
oh, this is an energy drink, or this is a healthy choice for Gatorade or whatever. But
if athletes
one,
are doing it, I will be an athlete too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I didn't do
It's
athletic things that
It's
day.
2016, and that kind of thought process is still being learned by a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends and a lot of the people I hang out with, they all have cell phones. They all have internet
Yeah.
access. That's still a minority of people that have that access.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't get to read
Yeah.
all of this information that we have, and all this data, and the trending things about and that Gatorade is and then this and then that.
Yeah.
And so people just go along with what it is, because they only see that mass marketing that's in front of them,
Yeah.
not on their phones and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. I get these questions actually probably once a week. And I still think like, oh, it's 2016. How are
they
people?
not?
How are people not knowing
Yeah.
like how to read? That there's 4 servings of there's 54 grams of sugar in this
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Well, I don't think a lot of people know how bad. I mean, they know that they eat too much sugar, but they don't know how much because they never look. And like I went through a huge Monster phase where I just loved those things and drank them all the time. And your heart's all, especially on road trips, I would drink them because I could stay awake and drive 8 hours to Kansas or what have you.
Yeah,
But-
the mental focus there it's a thing. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's probably spiky. But so let's not talk about the bad things. Let's talk about the good things. Obviously, I know water.
Yeah.
Teas, I hear, but are there good teas and bad teas? What's the deal with teas?
Teas are great. I use some protocols almost to like everything that you're going to ask me today.
Yeah.
A lot of these things
It's person specific.
we don't even have to we didn't have to review a lot of this stuff before we even got here,
Yeah.
because I've already got protocols and I've been asked these questions
Yeah.
so many times, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like I love being able to answer them in a way that kind of makes sense, and without having to say, do some research on it.
Right.
If you go do research on it, you're going to find everything under the sun as soon
Yeah.
as you Google it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the protocols, they seem to work for most people. 90% of my clients like the protocols.
Yeah,
Who's to say that's not the best way?
right.
It's
Right.
working for them.
Yeah.
So, loose leaf. So yeah, organic loose leaf tea. Get your own little teapot. It's a ceramic, or you can use use a ceramic.
Is it
Something.
a steep?
Yeah, it's a steep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and steep it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it in there.
So again, it's
loosely.
these things that just take a little effort,
Yeah,
and it's a lifestyle. Because I was gonna say, oh, buy this tea, but actually, those teas that you buy are probably processed.
I don't like getting the little packs because a lot of those
For preservatives.
the little packs themselves, a lot of them are in a plastic, and you're sticking very thin plastic into hot water, and so all you're doing is just getting more than that. If you only drink tea once a year, big deal, right? But if you're like me and you drink tea all the freaking time, you don't want to be, drinking, plastic products every single time that you make tea.
Right.
Again, that just goes along with the body burden, right? If that's the only thing that you're doing bad,
Right.
okay, then essentially you might be doing pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But you compound that with the chemicals in the house, the chemicals on your clothes,
And it's a big
the
number.
fluoride in your water, the processed meats, the inflammation that you've got from that, the no vegetables, the no alkalining foods, all the pesticides. You see how these things are just adding up,
Right.
and this sounds like a brand, like everyone's lifestyle right now.
Yeah, I bet if people at home, if they kept, for 1 week, write down what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then look at it at the end of the week, they'd probably be shocked.
I don't think they'd.
Not your friends and you.
No, I just don't.
but
I don't
the
even.
average.
Yeah, I don't even think that they would know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
You need somebody to help you
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah. So understanding, well, that didn't look bad. They're looking at their food plate.
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of protein and it's got a sweet potato on
I
it.
had McDonald's this day and Taco Bell. I changed it up.
Obvious things like that, though. That's
Yeah.
that's a little bit different.
But I bet that's what a lot of people do.
It is, but there is an amount of care that doesn't come along with, those things.
Yeah.
Most people that eat a lot of fast food tend to not really care that much about their food.
Right.
So, sure, there's always going to be on the end of the spectrum. There's
Yeah.
always going to be that
A
one
skinny
person
person
that's
that can eat
that one person that's very knowledgeable and just happens to be broke because they're going through a new business ownership, and they're like, I got to go to Jack in the Box. I've only got $2.
right.
Okay, they know better, but they have to eat.
Right.
At the same time, there are healthy options that you can get for cheap. And you asked me about the price of healthy foods versus, and this is one that I actually did look up because we were talking about that. I was like, that's a really
Yeah. Do you want to pay now or later with high cost of healthcare?
Well, but eating the same amount of calories, but plant-based and more organic and healthier options for the same amount of calories. The study did 27 people, 2,000 calories, and the total yearly cost increase for that was $556 or $1.50 a day more to eat healthy foods than eating the non-healthy versions.
Wow.
Does that sound like a whole lot?
Yeah.
So if you've only got $2, sure, it's a whole lot because you don't have the extra $1.50.
Right.
But I mean, logistics there.
Don't eat at Starbucks drink at Starbucks one
But
day. And,
$2 isn't getting you nothing at Starbucks.
Yeah, save that and just put it into food.
I mean, $2 doesn't get you anything at Starbucks.
Yeah. So, what
So
for those of us that don't, what is the average? And again, I know you hate the average questions, but what's that for myself? Then what kind of
there's no hate. I love
Well,
questions.
you know what I mean,
This is what I do all the time. I love questions.
So, what should someone like me daily calorie intake? And then let's also talk about, because man, time is going fast. Let's talk about what calories are for people that might not know and why that's important.
Calories. So I do a metabolic test. Okay, you can do it online. You can go look at metabolic tests, and you can see about how many calories your body would burn in a day. Okay, and you want to stay around that number. You either get it done through a DEXA scan or through my machine that I have at Austin Holistic Fitness. It's called a metabolic test through the Body Gym, and it's a machine that calculates your CO2 versus O2 exchange, and that's how much energy you use in the day. If you eat less than that energy, you find that energy from somewhere else. If you do it right, it's coming from fat. And that's what I can do, is I can teach you how to do it right. Okay? So calories are very important, right?
Yeah.
And in the sense of our body can store some. That's why we have allocation of fat. We want to have, 10, 9%, 8%. That you'd be okay, holding on to some fat because you need it to that store. But guess what? That 7, 8, 9% is actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
So eat those calories, understand what they are. If you don't, come find a coach,
Right.
and you're going to be able to kind of figure out where you need to be, how to break your foods down. We talked about that protein bar,
Yeah.
400 calories. How easy is it to eat that and then go eat a Mexican food meal, be at 1,800, and that's your entire day in two little things, right? So
Could do that in an hour.
that sounds very confusing, right?
Yeah.
But if you take my program, you learn how to do the V2 plus P plus S. Guess what? You don't have to really count calories much anymore.
Right, because they're all good numbers.
You stay in a lower calorie consumption either
Right,
way.
yeah.
And even if you overeat on your vegetables, awesome.
Yeah.
So
One thing I do want to talk about, what is your Facebook page?
So Austin Holistic Fitness.
Okay.
So Austin Holistic Fitness. You'll be able to find me on Facebook.
And then what's your website?
It's austinholisticfitness.com. Yep,
Okay,
and
I
that's
just wanted
the
to get that
website.
out before we.
And they both have the services, the metabolic testing, the 8-week program, which
Yeah.
teaches you all of the things that are, all of this that you're reading
Yeah,
right there, all that he's reading, that is all from the program.
Yeah.
And
And
that's,
I got some good stuff here.
dude, we talked an hour. It's 8 weeks.
Yeah.
We meet once a week for 8 weeks.
Oh,
That
I
way-
didn't. I had so many other questions.
So
This-
many.
Yeah.
And that's why we split it up. So that
Yeah.
way, over 8 weeks, you become a health professional.
Yeah.
I teach you like I would teach my students how to be teachers. Remember?
Yeah.
So
And one thing I like with talking to him is, if you're going to be playing the NFL, you don't just go play in the NFL. You start young, you train, you learn from coaches. Same with your health. You don't just know, I'm going to eat healthy food, because the healthy food might not do it if it's not in context. So it's good to talk to someone and get all the right numbers. But man,
Absolutely.
Jeremy,
Yeah, you
thank
rock.
you for coming out.
Yeah, man.
We need to have you out again, or do some spot somewhere where we can do some video and stuff. But
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
yes, I think we're about to roll some credits. But yeah, I definitely got to start doing better. And you're in a great city for this. You've got some awards for your stuff.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Best personal training, Thumbtack, best agility trainer, and then we just win all kinds of awards here and there. And one of the biggest awards that we get is the results and the Yelp reviews and
Yeah.
the people who are changing, and they're changing their life, they're changing their mind about food and fitness.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, this actually isn't as difficult.
Yeah.
I just have
Yeah,
to say no.
I'm going to commit myself and just start doing this lifestyle. And you got to get the tools.
What's
so.
that formula again?
V2, P, and S.
That's it.
Nice.
Yeah, you follow that, and you're going to be able to always know what's on your plate.
Yeah. Perfect.
So.